Welcome back. This episode is on divorcing a narcissist, and we have a number of questions that we will be addressing in today's episode. Most of these questions come from questions that you all have submitted or that I've been asked during consultations. So what are some traits of a narcissist? Well, we know they have a lack of empathy. We know that they gaslight. We know they love bomb. We know they want to appear to be perfect, and it's because they're really insecure on the inside. And there are some tools that you can employ to protect yourself. Gray rocking, communicating in writing, having low contact with them. And when they send you emails or text messages with inflammatory things, respond only to the factual things that need to be responded to regarding the kids. Now, if your case involves family violence or abuse, that takes it to another level. With this, the encouragement is to have professionals in those spheres invited into your case or consulted. If this involves CPS, then you need to go to CPS. If this involves having a school counselor or a psychologist or a family therapist or a play therapist or some other professional involved in your case, then do that. If you need a child custody evaluator, a parenting facilitator, or someone else that you can request from the court, then do that. So, divorcing a narcissist. What if I'm not sure whether they are a narcissist? Do I tell the judge that they are a narcissist or put that in my pleadings? What can I expect from the narcissist during this case? How do I set myself up for success? Should I represent myself in divorcing a narcissist? How do I prepare for a temporary orders hearing against a narcissist? How can I expect the court to rule if I show that they are a narcissist? Is there something specific I should do in preparing my case against a narcissist? What do I do when they are violating the court's order? So to the first of these questions, what if I am not sure whether they are a narcissist? I know this question is really important to the asker because you have been faced with a lot of gaslighting and misleading information from the narcissist, so you have become a person who questions themselves. Now is not the time to question whether your experience is true or not. Believe yourself and the part of your gut that tells you that you have been experiencing emotional and mental abuse. You've most likely experienced the gaslighting, the lies, the manipulation, the love bombing. You've probably had some of the flying monkeys come out and attack you. This is a part of being in a relationship with a narcissist, whether that person is a romantic partner, a family member, someone in the workplace, or another part of your life experience. So not being sure whether they are a narcissist does not really change your approach. The guidance here is to trust your gut and trust your instinct. If you have an instinct that they will lie, then part of your case is presenting the truth, presenting what you know to be true. This also means documenting what is important to your case. We must remember that narcissism is a diagnosable illness. Many of you know I am also a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist. While narcissists are different from a lot of the other experiences a lot of us have, they differ from bipolar or anxiety or depression in that the latter will often seek treatment for what's going on. The narcissist, on the other hand, has this inflated sense of self-esteem, and they often don't think that they have a problem, but they do. Do I tell the judge they are a narcissist or put that in my pleadings? It is not my recommendation that you even utter the word narcissist, narcissistic, toxic, that you don't mention those words, but instead you describe the behaviors. So if your divorce is one with kids, then you describe how that parent is with the children. You describe their work schedule. You describe who takes care of the children when they're sick. One of the hallmark traits of a narcissist is that they lack empathy. And we can see that when children are sick. If they have no patience for the child, if they don't take them to any of their doctor's appointments, to the emergency room, to urgent care, because that parent has no tolerance, no patience for the child when they're sick. If they minimize the child's experience of being sick, then those are things that show a lack of empathy. And those are things that can show that you are the parent that the court should appoint as a primary managing conservator. With this, instead of showing how they lack empathy or how they are not there for the child, my approach is to bolster the things that you do. The fact that you are the one who's up in the middle of the night with the child, that you are the one that takes them to the urgent care or to the emergency appointment or to their regular doctor's visits. That when they're sick, you're the one that sucks the snot out of their nose or helps them blow their nose, or if they're vomiting, you're the one that's rubbing their back in the middle of the night. You're the one with the cold ice pack. You're holding it there for them. You show that you have empathy, that you're the one that's caring for them. So again, you wouldn't put that they are a narcissist in the pleadings. You build your case knowing that they are, and instead of looking for ways to merely discredit them, you look for ways to bolster your side and to help show the court why they should rule in your favor. So what you can put in your pleadings are descriptions of what the narcissist does. For example, if the narcissist goes off in these wild fits of rage, yelling at you, cursing at you, yelling at the kids, you can describe those things. If it is enough for a request for a temporary restraining order, you describe those behaviors. You have an affidavit that is signed in the presence of a notary, which means you are swearing to those descriptions that you're providing. If the narcissist is being deceitful by hiding money, you can show where the accounts had a certain amount of money and now the money is gone. If the narcissist is continuing their gaslighting by doing things that in the past would have had you feeling crazy, then you show that they are doing things. Now, a lot of Texas counties have what's called standing orders. And in most of these standing orders, there are orders that the parties may not change the passwords, may not move money from the community asset bank accounts, except for to care for their reasonable living expenses and attorney's fees. Now, if the narcissist is gaslighting you by saying, oh, I had this money in this account, but you took it out, or the money's the same, I haven't changed it, or they are changing your passwords, or they're logging into accounts as you and they are not you, and you're feeling like, did I do this? Is this just in my head? But the part of you that trusts yourself says, no, it was them. Then those are the types of things you put into your pleadings, that this password was, you don't put your actual password, but that you could log into your account. The only other person with access to the account was the other person. Now you can't get into your account. You're asking the court to order that they follow the standing order, which you can file a motion to enforce or a motion for the court to find them in contempt. But those are the types of things you do. You don't just outright say they're a narcissist, they're lying, they're trying to gaslight me. You describe their actual behaviors with factual things that you can back up with evidence. What can I expect from the narcissist during my court case? You can expect for them to turn on the heat. They will become even more narcissistic and vile and outrageous in what they do. So it is really important to practice some mindfulness, to have some breathing techniques, to practice gray rocking. And if you're unfamiliar with what these terms mean, then I encourage you to go out and check out some of the other creators' videos on this. And I will also create an episode on these topics. You can expect for them to become even more intense. They will feel very threatened during this legal process, even if they were the one who filed for divorce. Remember, narcissists are really concerned about their public image. And it's because they're insecure on the outside. So they don't want to be embarrassed. So if you are putting anything in your pleadings that they feel is potentially embarrassing, and even just having their life on display in these pleadings can be very embarrassing for anyone, not just someone who's a narcissist. You can expect for them to vacillate from the love bombing to being very cold and very vindictive. You can expect them to do things out of spite, even if it hurts their own case. You can expect for them to try to hide money, lock you out of things, change your password, try to log into your account. They may post videos of you online with the intent to embarrass you. They may have their friends and their flying monkeys, who really aren't friends, but people who are co-abusers with them, who they've triangulated, to go and continue their abuse by proxy. When you have children together, they will try to alienate the kids from you. If you have multiple kids, they will often have one child as the golden child and the other one as the discarded child who can't do anything right and who reminds them just of you. The narcissist has this facade of being perfect, but they cannot maintain it in all spheres of their life. So where they may have wanted to appear to be the perfect spouse, and they wanted to appear as the perfect coworker, or maybe they're the boss at work. Maybe they're a lawyer like me. Maybe they're a therapist. Maybe they are a police officer, a physician, a teacher. A lot of narcissists I'm finding are in careers where their job is to be right, and their job is to be near perfect. And so when an area of their life is crumbling, as a person's life does feel like it's crumbling in a divorce, they can't maintain that facade in the other areas of their life. And so they become even more dangerous. So you can expect the abuse from the narcissist to become even worse. And now that you are in this process, whether you filed for divorce or you are the respondent, it is time for you to go into this with your eyes open, with clarity, with a support system, for you to really start to trust yourself when your gut tells you that something's not right or they are being manipulated, to trust yourself and have someone that you can count on for sound advice and sometimes just a sounding board, and to also be in contact with people who are a little bit farther down the path that you are going down, to help you see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that if they can make it, so can I. How do I set myself up for success? One tip is to be organized. During a divorce, you will have to organize your finances in every area of your life. One encouragement is to do an inventory and appraisement. An inventory and appraisement is basically a list of all of your assets and all of your debts. This list is for the assets and debts acquired or accumulated during the marriage. This is important because in a divorce, those items are divided by the court or divided by agreement. Another tool is to communicate in writing with the narcissist. They will try to abuse you over text message, over email, over voicemail. When they do this and you have kids together, try to respond to only the parts that need to be responded to. So how do I know what to do? Like, I need to defend myself. I can't just let them go and say this or that. You have no control over what they say or do or think. If they have a long 5-page email and only one sentence of it has to do with when you're picking up Sally from school, then you respond to the time you're picking up Sally from school, and to all the other BS in there, you say, that's not true. I disagree with the rest. I'm not responding to the rest, because their goal is to get you agitated. So if you fire back at them, then they've really won. This leads us to the discussion of gray rocking. Gray rocking is basically to be as uninteresting as a little gray rock, or actually, let's be a big, gigantic rock. because you're strong. Be as uninteresting, as unmovable, as unfazed as a big gray rock when they are going off, trying to say whatever they're trying to say to you. Don't react to it. Now, when you hang up the phone or you close the email or whatever, then you can react, but don't give them the satisfaction of letting them know that they have pushed your buttons. Should I represent myself in divorcing a narcissist? I would say no. And not just because I am a divorce attorney, but because for myself, if I have a leak under my sink, even though I can probably go to YouTube and spend 3 hours learning how to fix the thing, and I can go and buy the tools, and I can get the flashlight on my head and go under the sink and try to fix it, I am not a professional. And how do I know if I've done it right? I could make it worse. So the purpose of that illustration is to say, leave the critical professional work to the professionals. Unless you have a lot of time on your hands and emotional space to go through this, and you have the cognitive space to go through this. And I'm not saying whether you're intelligent or not intelligent, hardworking or not hardworking. We all have 24 hours a day, and what we spend those 24 hours on, I think, should be the things that are our strengths and the things that we're already good at. Because if you have children during this process, your children are going to really, really need you. They're going to need you more than they needed you before. And you are going to need to fill yourself up and replenish yourself with what helps you to be strong. And learning how to be a divorce attorney on the spot, because you likely did not plan this, even if you were the petitioner, is usually not the time to take on such a big role when your kids need you more and you need you more. However, if you do find yourself in the position of representing yourself, then you need to get ready. Go to the law library, read everything you can on divorce and custody. Check out the Texas Family Code. Check out www.texaslawhelp.org and learn all that you can about family law. Also, if your county has copies of divorce pleadings on record that you can look at for free without having to sign up for anything, then I suggest you read through those to see how other people structured their hearings. Also, so this requires a lot of time, go to court, sit in family court, sit and listen to how the judge interacts with the lawyers. Watch how the lawyers interact with their clients. Watch how the lawyers interact with each other. If you can watch some hearings, I suggest you go and you pack your lunch. You can't eat in the courtroom, but you spend a few days in family court to see how it goes. Also, if you are representing yourself, you have to be super organized. I think I've mentioned this a few times, and I don't mean to be repetitive. I just can't understate how important it is to be organized. You will be receiving emails from the clerk's office if you sign up for e-filing in Texas. You'll need to keep all of those files in a really organized manner. You'll also need to organize all of your accounts, all of your debts, all of your credit cards. If you own a house, you'll need a copy of your deed. You'll need the legal description. You'll need to know the balances on all of these accounts. You'll need to have the passwords, and you'll need to be able to present this information in the legal format required by the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure. When you go to court, you will need to learn the rules of evidence, how to admit evidence, how to object to information, how to respond when the court sustains or overrules your objection. You'll need to do a lot of work and a lot of studying. So you will need time, you will need energy, you will need the emotional stability to go through all of this. And you'll need someone to help you, because even if you are representing yourself, you'll need someone to discuss these things with. How do I prepare for a temporary orders hearing against a narcissist? Make sure you read the local rules. Make sure you've looked through some other family law pleadings. Make sure you have filed everything that needs to be filed prior to a temporary orders hearing. At temporary orders, you are addressing a few key things. If you have children, you're addressing conservatorship. You are addressing the marital residence if you guys own a house or are renting a place. You will also be discussing child support, so you will need to know how to calculate child support. The Attorney General's website does have a free calculator, but you still need to know what to put in those fields. You will need your tax returns, your W-2 statements, copies of your paycheck stubs, and then you'll need to request the same from your spouse. Now, if your spouse is a narcissist, a jerk, a toxic person, or just someone who's become someone you don't recognize during this divorce, they most likely won't just easily hand over this information, especially if they are representing themselves. If they have an attorney, then you have, I think, a greater chance of getting that information, but that's still not a guarantee. However, you need these things for your temporary orders hearing. You'll need to know what things the judge is going to rule on, and you'll need to prepare a way to have the judge rule in your favor, if at all possible. You'll also need to know how to draft the order. If the judge issues their ruling and says, okay, the parties have to draft it, then you've got to figure out how to do that. So if you're representing yourself, you've got to figure that out on your own. If you have retained counsel, then your attorney should be able to do that for you. Other ways to prepare are to have in mind or documented a calendar of who normally does what for and with the kids, what your schedule is, what the children's schedule is, what their expenses are, what the household expenses are, what the household income is. And remember that the judge is looking at this case from 3 perspectives and has to basically come up with one version of the truth. The judge is also looking at what is in the children's best interests, which may not necessarily be what is in your best interest or the other parent's best interest. So there's more you can do. That's a quick summary for now as to what you can do to prepare for a temporary orders hearing against a narcissist. How can I expect the court to rule if I show they are a narcissist? So if you show that they are one of the elements of narcissism, which is deceitfulness, if you show that they are lying or being deceitful or they don't have a lot of credibility, then that could help your case. If you're showing that having that parent appointed as the primary managing conservator would not be in the children's best interest, then you could expect to see that from the court's ruling. Now, when we're talking about finances, there isn't always a big financial win in what the court will award. When we see a disproportionate share of the marital assets awarded to one party, it's probably not going to be 80-20, may not even be 60-40. It may be closer to 55-45. I don't want you to go in thinking, I'm going to get this big disproportionate share. I'm going to slam them. I'm going to take them for everything. That is probably not going to happen, especially if you're representing yourself, because you probably do not have the evidence presented and you probably don't have enough for the judge to rule that way. So how can you expect the court to rule if you show that they are a narcissist? It may not be that much different from how the court would rule if the person were not a narcissist. Is there something specific I should do in preparing my case against a narcissist? There are a few things I would put on the top of the list. Be organized. Know the local rules, even if you have an attorney. Read up on family law and what to expect from cases. I'm on 4, so I may have a top 10 list here. Go to court and observe some family law cases in the county where you live. And if you can get into that judge's courtroom and sit and observe, go and do that. But please remember, Don't approach the judge to talk about your case or anything like that, because that is an ex parte communication, and that would be no bueno for your case. In preparing your case, don't forget about the things that are super important to you. Your kids, you have kids. As much as possible, try to maintain the good things that were in your kids' standard of living. So if they were in sports and you can still afford it, have them stay in those sports. If they would have play dates with their friends, then let them have those play dates with their friends. Be the best parent that you can be, and even better than what you thought you were doing before. Really rise to the occasion for your kids. If you have extra time, don't now invest all this time in your case to where now you're not spending as much time with your kids or being as emotionally available for your kids. Prepare your case by also being there for your children and being the emotional support that they will need, the financial support if possible, and making sure you have the capacity to do that. Also, if you can shift to communicating with them in writing, that is something you can do to prepare your case. As much as possible, get a list of all of your accounts, all of your deed information, the titles to your car, the VIN numbers, the health insurance information, the car insurance information. Think of your divorce as a company that is going out of business. And when a company goes out of business, they've got to divide everything. And before they can divide everything, they need to do an inventory as to what they have and what it is worth. So in preparing your case, be focused on that and also seek the advice of your attorney. What do I do when they are violating the court's order? Make sure, first of all, you are not violating the court's order. It is never good when you are in violation. Even if they are in violation, it does not help your case. So make sure you know what is expected of you. You can find this in the standing order if your county has standing orders. You can find this in the pleadings if it was pled by either party. You can expect that you should be held to that standard. Also, if you are asking for an injunction against them, make sure you're following that same thing. Document what is happening with who, what, when, where, why. Document why you think they should have been doing something that they weren't doing, and show that you did what you were supposed to do to make that happen. For example, if they are violating the court's order by making disparaging comments about you to the kids, make sure you are not doing that yourself, and document how you know that was happening or what makes you believe that was happening. If you have audio or video recordings, remember Texas is a one-party state, meaning you have to be a party in that conversation to consent to it. You cannot put a recorder in your child's backpack and record what's going on, because neither your child nor the other parent has consented to that. However, if it is now the exchange period, as Texas is a one-party consent state, when you are exchanging the kids and you have your recording device in your pocket, you have pressed record, that other parent is making disparaging comments about you to the kids, about you within the kids' hearing, and you have it on that recording, then you take that, you prepare it into a motion for enforcement, or you prepare it as evidence in your case to show why you should get the relief you're requesting. You document what they are doing that is not in line with what the court has ordered. I hope you found this information helpful. This episode was on divorcing a narcissist.